Welcome back to the Principles of Seven, and I'm your host, Dave Sharp. Today is Monday, June the 2nd, a very special day for those of you that has been following the things we've been doing to try to bring about some positive change for cancer patients here in Hastings, Nebraska. You know that one of my guiding purposes is because my mother is a patient of Dr. Chopin's, and today is her birthday. So first I want to say happy birthday, Mother. We're still in the middle of this mission that we have, and whistle. And we've had some developments that I've already brought up and spoke about when it comes to UNMC and Nebraska medicine. But this comes from the 27th, and I'm going to pop that up on the screen now. You can see that, and I'll make sure that I scroll it up. So this is from May the 7th, 2026. I'll just read it to you. This is from Nebraska Public Media, PBS, NPR. Director of UNMC's Pancreatic Cancer Center of Excellence sues alleging discrimination and retaliation. The director of the University of Nebraska Medical Center's Pancreatic Cancer Center of Excellence alleged in a lawsuit filed Monday that he faced discrimination and retaliation from leadership before he was terminated from his clinical role. Leadership with UNMC and Nebraska Medicine began recruiting Dr. Sunil Hinjurani to lead the newly established center in 2020. According to the lawsuit, he began his role as the director in May 2022. Prior to joining the center, Hinjurani was a professor and researcher at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle. In announcing his hire, UNMC leadership said Hinjurani was an internationally recognized expert in pancreatic cancer. Hinjurani alleged throughout the lawsuit that administration within UNMC and Nebraska Medicine put up roadblocks to his attempts at improving processes and procedures like updating IT infrastructure and purchasing new equipment. He also alleges that he was retaliated against for raising concerns about funding issues. Though Hinjurani claims the director of the Pancreatic remains the director of the Pancreatic Cancer Center of Excellence, he was terminated earlier this year from his clinical role. He alleges that his removal from the role was retaliatory and based on racial discrimination. Hinjurani sued UNMC, Nebraska Medicine, the University of Nebraska Board of Regents, former UNMC Chancellor and current University of Nebraska President Jeffrey Gold, and Dr. Joan Sweezy, who is the director of the Fred and Pamela Buffett Cancer Center and the Epley Institute for Research in Cancer and Allied Diseases. He is seeking reinstatement, a money judgment for lost wages, back pay, and compensatory damages for mental suffering. The University of Nebraska Board of Regents approved the establishment of the Pancreatic Cancer Center of Excellence in 2018. In 2022, the legislature approved a one-time investment of $15 million in state funding for the center. Those funds were dependent upon $15 million in matching funds from philanthropic organizations. Hinjurani alleges in the lawsuit that the $15 million in state funds were treated as an institutional slush fund rather than a restricted grant. He alleges that when the state declined to provide $15 million in matching funds without proof of $15 million in philanthropic donations, UNMC and Nebraska Medicine used millions earmarked for other areas of the defendant's operations and put it into an account to show the state that it had the required matching funds. As such, for nearly 2 years, Dr. Hinjurani was using funds from an intermediate source for which there was no coherent accounting, the lawsuit said. Upon information and belief, some or all of these funds were donations earmarked for other causes that the defendants impermissibly reallocated to trick the state into believing they had raised the requisite $15 million. After raising concerns for the funding, Hindurani said he was subject to significant retaliation in late 2024. According to the lawsuit, Sweezy and other leadership members told Hindurani that he was no longer allowed to be present at the pancreatic disease specialty clinic outside of specific times when he was scheduled to see patients. Hindurani was told this was a result of the clinic team expressing issues with his leadership style, according to the lawsuit. But he alleges many members of the team were not contacted at all. He alleges that his removal from the clinic and his multidisciplinary team that made decisions about patient care directly contributed to a patient's premature death. In early 2026, according to the suit, Hindurani was terminated from his clinical role, though he continues to be employed in a research and director capacity at the Pancreatic Cancer Center of Excellence. In addition to retaliation, Hindurani also alleges that the university defendants and Swayze discriminated against him for his race and national origin. Hindurani referenced 5 other scientists of East Asian descent who reported to Sweezy and were allegedly terminated or forced out in recent years. In a joint statement, UNMC, Nebraska Medicine, and the University of Nebraska said that they can't comment on pending litigation. Our organizations are proud of our strong national reputation for excellence in research, education, and service to Nebraska, as well as to be counted as one of the safest academic medical centers in the country, the statement said. Michael Williman, an attorney for Hindurani, said in a statement that the defendants squandered the tremendous opportunity to place the University of Nebraska at the forefront of the fight against pancreatic cancer. Dr. Hindurani was treated with astonishing disregard, but the harm runs deeper. Williman said, as the complaint alleges, critical research was delayed or thwarted. Patients' care was compromised, donors were betrayed, and resources were wasted. But there's still time to right the ship, and every Nebraskan should be demanding that defendants do so immediately. This last statement is exactly what we've been talking about. This is about our community. This is about a doctor that uses his colorful language to make points and to stand up for what he believes in. That's where we are today. We're in the middle of the same style of situation happening right here in Hastings. If you go back through some of the previous videos prior to any of this being released to the public, what you'll find is that these are things that I've already been discussing. And it's because there's a shift that is taking place, not just in Hastings, Nebraska, but it's been happening all over this country. And it's making its way to Hastings, Nebraska. Too often, our voices are silent. And when you listen to that story, it's not necessarily all about what is happening right now. That's extremely important, of course. But it's also about a trend, and it's about a pattern. And where is that pattern going? To look at that trajectory, we have to take a look at the past. Everything that's coming tomorrow is a result of cause and effect that happened today and the day before and the day before that is leading us to what is going to happen tomorrow. Now, tomorrow morning we can wake up and everybody involved in any situation can decide to make changes. And we can change the trajectory of where we're going. And we have leaders. Let's call it what it is. We have leaders. We have board members that make these decisions. And when they're making decisions that involve a community, I think they've become accustomed to operating inside that boardroom or operating inside of a closed office with this table sometimes round, sometimes square, but people meeting to decide the fate of everybody involved. And far too often, we don't look at the consequence. And when these meetings happen behind closed doors, it's generally not the case that the community that they seek to serve is at the forefront of their minds. So, as I stated, today's my mother's birthday, and I want to make it very clear why this is so important to me, because it truly is. I'm not going to have any sound with this. While we watch this, this is my mother. We just got done at my grandmother's resting place for Memorial Day. She too died of cancer. This is my mother. We're visiting here on this past Memorial Day. That's my grandmother. She died of cancer. Most influential man in my life was my grandfather. He too died of cancer. And some of you will also probably know that my little brother, who was 36 years old, he too died of cancer. And him and his wife owned Wanda's here in Hastings. And just a few short weeks after being diagnosed with cancer, he was gone. So, cancer, for me, is a very important thing. And it's not something I'm willing to compromise on. It doesn't just affect Republicans, Democrats, men, women, those that believe in God, those that are atheists. It's non-discriminatory. It's anybody. And that's one thing that should bring everybody together. That regardless of what else we're doing, we should be standing together against this one issue, because it takes all of us. And it takes all of us to stand up, but this cancer also takes all of us. So, as this rolls, little tribute to my mother. Once again, happy birthday, Mom. And when you sit here and you watch this, and you realize that you were blessed with a moment where you catch her when she's standing, and not underneath one of those tombstones. It's a blessing, and I know I certainly trust Dr. Chopur with making sure that I get to continue to do that for a little while. 75 years old today. But that's what this is about. Cancer that doesn't discriminate. So when it comes to this, it doesn't matter your political beliefs, theological beliefs. None of that matters. Because regardless of what side of the fence you fall on with any topic, cancer can affect you too. I met with a man yesterday. He's a leader in his community. He's somebody that I was hoping would be a part of this council, the Hastings Community Voice Accountability Council. He was telling me his story of Dr. Chopra. And he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. Hospice was being considered until Dr. Chopra. And he looked me in the face, and with the most honest eyes I've ever seen, he said what that man did. He stayed up and he studied this cancer. Even with treatment, he was only given a few years to live. That's been many years ago, because Dr. Chopra was able to find the right treatment. And although he is still taking the treatments, his last check recently showed that his cancer was gone. He attributes that to Dr. Chopra and to God. He is a pastor. When I sat with him, I asked him point blank why he believes in God. What is his evidence for God? And I believe we're going to be having more communications in the future. But let's just say that his explanation will resonate with a lot of people. Where are we today, knowing all of this? We're in the same place we were when we started. I made some statements in some previous videos. I've talked about these entities, and there's a pattern that is happening. And previous to this situation, that's what I was doing, was exploring patterns. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to continue to explore this pattern. And I think it's going to be what allows for this community to come together and use our voice in respectful, rational ways. I can claim a lot of things, and in the future I will claim a lot of things. But there's facts that are happening right now, and that is that cancer care here in Hastings, Nebraska, and the future of it is in jeopardy. And where this goes is going to depend on this community. I see it all the time, and I hear it all the time. There are some people that just don't understand why Dr. Chopra is any different than any other doctor that chooses to go on. Some of you have read the comments on other Facebook groups. There's got to be a reason, and they're right. There is a reason, just not the reason that they think. And when there's truth to things, as long as the truth is what's guiding us, we're fighting a righteous war. We're going to win that righteous war. And we don't have to do it through battle. Just being respectful and logical is what's going to win the day. Sun Tzu, The Art of War, he discusses many tactics. The best way to win a battle is from within, and without ever having to have a battle. That's the smartest kind of warfare. It's one that disarms, but it's one that empowers. I think there's something coming here, Hastings. I'll even step out on a limb and say I know there's something coming here, Hastings. And I've alluded to it into so many of the things that I've posted. You can go onto this channel, The Principles of Seven, on YouTube right now, and you can find things talking about full disclosure coming to Hastings. And it's over a year ago. And you can find things that go back many years ago talking about doctors and hospitals, lawyers, and police. I can prove my focus hasn't shifted, and it's not going to shift on this one. I'm asking you, pay attention. Understand that this is more than likely much bigger than a doctor and his patients. But a doctor and his patients is the solution. It's the most beautiful relationship that someone who is sick and diagnosed with cancer can have. A doctor that they believe in. And I think that's the community's choice. And I think that's at risk. I don't think it's just at risk in Hastings. But I think we were ahead of the curve in what we were doing. And if I have anything to say about it, we're going to continue to stay ahead of the curve. All of your voices. You know, when I sent documents in registered letters to the Board of Trustees, I took all those pages of your comments across multiple platforms, including the comments that you graciously left on that petition. And I attached them with the paperwork. So I know they have your comments. I know they know your stories. I also know them to be good people. And I have faith that whether it's the universe, God, human collective consciousness, that's all asking for the same thing. I don't want to label the source. My source is probably not going to be the same as your source, but the end result's the same. That's where we're headed. Somehow, Hastings, we're ahead of the curve, and you've spoken up. What else can we fix? I think it's going to shock you. In so many of my other videos, I've alluded to that there's much more coming than just this one situation. And it's not, I shouldn't even say coming because it's already been here. I've discussed things with a lot of people. When all of you reached out, and I shouldn't say all of you, but a large number of you started reaching out to me on Facebook Messenger, I accepted every one of those and I corresponded right back. And a lot of you, I made sure I called and we had a conversation. Some of the stories that you told me really touched my heart. And some of the things that we discussed showed the level of intelligence that people have. There's a lot of people who are struggling with cancer here in Hastings. And I don't mean to make this video long. I'm just proud of what we're doing. And I'm proud of the people that I've talked to. And Hastings Community Voice, the type of conversations and the way people treat each other across social media is deplorable. I don't see that in Hastings Community Voice. It's small. And that growth that it's going to achieve is going to be a future where respect, humility, kindness is going to continue. And we're going to be able to talk about things. We're going to be able to disagree without having to have a disdain for somebody that thinks differently than you do. With that, I applaud every one of you. Yesterday, before I left, speaking with that pastor, I was taken back because he prayed for the minds of the people who are making these decisions, our board of trustees. He prayed for my protection. Because when we step into the light and we step up and we try to do something right, he said in his prayer that we know that the darkness seeks to attack that. He wanted to ask for my protection as well as a leader, and he wanted to thank me for my leadership in this. And I don't view myself as a leader. I have no desire to lead a community. What I have a desire is to walk beside people who are like-minded, that cares, and that understands that they can make a difference, and they choose to make that difference. I applaud you for speaking up, and don't stop doing that, because I think the future of this, the things that we're doing may seem like they're for right now, but it's changing things in the future. Things that were to be are no longer when these changes happen. So thank you to all of you. Thank you for being brothers and sisters aimed in the same direction. God bless you. Take care. Happy birthday, Mother. And please be good to one another.